Okay.
Very good. I'd like to call this March 5, 2024 meeting of the Henderson City County Planning Commission to order. I want to welcome everybody. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate your help. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you. David Dixon.
Here.
Kevin Richard.
Here.
Bobby Jarrett.
Here.
Mac Arnold. Mac Arnold. Believe he's muted. XR Royster.
Here.
Dickie Johnson.
Here.
Gary Gibson.
Here.
Gray Hodge.
Here.
Stacy Denton. Here. Kevin Herron.
Here.
Frank Boyette.
Here.
Heather Tays.
Here.
Mac Arnold.
Anyway, we can reach out to him and get him to unmute, please.
He isn't unmuted, we just, I don't know if he can't hear us or what.
Matt, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Our
Thank
phone
you.
was on mute.
Okay, we're calling the roll. Are you here?
I'm here.
Very good. Do we have a quorum?
We do.
Very good, thank you. We've got a lengthy agenda this evening, several items for a public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Got a
So
motion?
moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of going into public hearing, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed?
Yes.
We are in public hearing. First item of business is the approval of the minutes from the January 3 meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Very good. We've approved the minutes. First item, the next item of business is our annual audit. I think we have Mr. Crafton with us this evening.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll need your name,
Brian Crafton,
address.
300 First Street, Henderson, Kentucky.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you all should have a audit report in front of you. I'll be brief tonight since you do have a lengthy agenda. I'll just try to hit some highlights. Page 1, 2, and 3 is the independent auditor's report. You received an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion, which is the opinion that you would want, which just basically means we might make adjustments to your financial statements, but the financials presented to us were fair and accurate. The next page would be page 10, statement of net position. Also might look like a balance sheet to most. Total current assets, which would include cash of $327,839. The next few items below, you're going to see like assets and some depreciation, some deferred outflows, resources, and the liabilities. There's some large numbers there in liability, pension liabilities. We're referring to those because I'm going to refer to them just here in a minute. In governmental accounting, when we're required to present an audit, we're required to present it two ways. This is most ways people would see a balance sheet and they would think of assets and depreciation and other large liabilities. So then if you scroll down to the very bottom, second to last number there, the total net position of negative $874,484, that looks like a scary number. It is a negative number, and it's due to the unfunded pension liability that was required to be placed on your books several years ago now. Scroll to the next page, page 11, statement of activities, basically a profit and loss statement. You've got total general revenues of $762,292. After you subtract out your expenses, you're in a positive net position or net income of $10,963. Go to the next page, page 12. Balance sheet for governmental funds. Again, this is the other way to look at the balance sheet, and you'll notice that it's a lot more condensed than it was on page 10. So you're not going to see the assets, you're not going to see all those liabilities on your books. This will basically with all the assets and all the pension liabilities. The next page, page 13, all that is a reconciliation between the two methods that we're required to report. So you got a fund balance there of $188,764 that ties to page 12. And the bottom number there, that negative $874,484 ties to your net position on page 10. The next page, statement of revenues expenditures. Again, this is the other way to look at a profit and loss essentially. So your change in fund balance, this method is 16,621 versus the 10,000 that I mentioned earlier. So if you go to page 15, again, all that is a reconciliation between the two different methods, basically a profit and loss. The next several pages, I won't go through, your notes, your financial statements. I would always refer to somebody to notes if they're looking about any little bit more detailed information about an organization, accounting structure, how they may operate. This is where I would refer them to. The next page I'm going to go to is page 40, 41, and 42. In this page 40, and then the very back page 42 is the findings that we have. There's one finding. It's the same finding that we've had in prior years. It'll be the same finding we have in future years as well, and that's lack of segregation of duties. That is due to in accounting, you really want, ideally, you'd want multiple people doing different accounting functions. With a small governmental entity, with small not-for-profits, doesn't make financial sense to hire several people to do that. Therefore, you're going to have a comment that says you've got a lack of segregation of duties. So, up to the comment. If anybody has any questions, I'll try to answer for you.
Commission have any questions for this gentleman?
I've got one. I mean, and probably can't answer it. On the unfunded liability of the pension, do you think we'll ever be at a reasonable level of funding for the pensions?
I think that, I will tell you that when these numbers come not for things that, we don't calculate the numbers, they come from an actuary that the state is, hires. And so then we're given those numbers from the state. We place those numbers. I will tell you that probably the first 2 to 3 or 4 years, the first time we put a liability on the books, it was a huge number. And as we have to adjust those, and you adjust retirement income expense, those negative numbers sometimes got a little bit larger. It wasn't always 874, it was probably a smaller number than that. But it's plateaued, I will tell you that. So I don't think that unless the state or they force organizations to somehow come up with money to make up for the unfunded pension liability, which is probably not likely to happen because every governmental entity in the state has the same issue. They're all unfunded, and they're all unfunded by very large amounts. But I will tell you that those numbers have plateaued over the years, for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Kraft, can I ask a question real fast?
Sure.
So Commissioner Jarrett asked a question of me when we were going over our budget that I didn't have an answer to. Should we account for the amount of money that some of the employees had built up for vacation and sick time? So like, for example, if someone were to resign and they had a large amount of vacation and sick time built up, should we account for that somewhere in our budget, in an audit?
Yeah, if you're able to account for that, not always capable of doing that, but if you're able to, you would want to do that, and then you try to put that on as liabilities. Yes, and not all organizations are able to do it. Calculate.
Bobby, is that
Yep.
the answer you're looking for?
Any other questions? We are in public hearing, so is anybody in the audience that'd like to talk about the audit? Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no questions or comments from any party, I'll entertain a motion to approve the audit as presented.
Accept.
To accept the audit as presented. Excuse me.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion to accept the audit as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Kevin Richard.
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
Yes.
XR Royster.
Yes.
Dickie Johnson.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Gray Hodge.
Yes.
Stacy Denton.
Yes.
Kevin Herron.
Yes.
Frank Boyette.
Yes.
Heather Taves.
Yes.
Very good. The audit has been accepted. Next item on the agenda is rezoning 1161. I think Ms. Marks is going to help us with that one.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I make a recommendation that we review rezoning 1161 and 1162 together, since they are the same property owners and right next to each other, but of course take two different votes on those findings of fact?
That's perfectly fine with me. Anybody have a problem with that? Please, go ahead.
So rezoning 1161 submitted by Richard and Jody Hawley for the property located in the city of Henderson at 1712 Rivers Edge Drive, being parcel ID number 46-54.1, containing 7,933 square feet. Applicants are requesting a zoning change map amendment from Riverfront 4 to medium density residential, which is R2. And then I will read the next one, and again, it is the same request of a zoning change. So rezoning 1162, submitted by Richard and Jody Hawley for the property in the city of Henderson at Rivers Edge Drive, adjacent to 1712, being parcel ID number 46-54.3, containing 3.97 acres. The applicants are requesting a zoning change map amendment from Riverfront 4 to medium density residential R2 to construct a single family dwelling. So if you will look at the screen here, the 1161, the first part that we discussed would be the one that is surrounded here with the yellow box. But 1162 is the next portion of the yellow, which isn't surrounded here, but is this section. So they are currently zoned RF4. You might remember we saw one similar to this a couple months back, which would have been this property here. They were originally rezoned to construct townhomes, and that has not moved forward with that. So the applicants are requesting to rezone back to medium density residential for the construction of a home on this lot here. This lot here actually already has a single family dwelling on it. So let's see, same thing here. So now you see this parcel here, that's 3.97 acres. Again, same plat, recorded with both of these. If you guys have any questions, I will answer those. We do have findings of fact to read into the record as well.
So you say the smaller lot already has a single-family dwelling on it?
This one does, right here, yes.
So why is this rezoning coming to us now?
It was built with a rezoning, with the current zone of the RF4. The new home that they would like to construct here. It's my understanding that they want to have different design specifications, and RF4, like we discussed with the previous in December, does have specifications for type of build and the look and things like that of the homes. And so the R2 is pretty standard when it comes to any single family dwelling being built.
So Jennifer, maybe you, or if we need to get codes to comment. So the 1161 with the existing house, will changing the zoning do anything to take that out of compliance with
No, 'cause
current construction?
it would have been built to the specifications that were needed then, unless Steve had anything come across his desk for that, which he can comment on that. But R2 is a more, I don't want to say relaxed, but it is a more relaxed zone because it doesn't have design specifications, whereas RF4 does.
Could you give us an example of one of these design specifications?
Well, for instance, I can tell you with regards to the one we did in December, they were wanting to put a prefabricated building on their lot to live in while building their home, and metal, Steve, please correct me if I'm wrong, metal siding like that wouldn't be allowable in the RF4 design standards.
Okay. But a single-family dwelling is definitely allowed in RF4.
Either one, yes, it's just the design standards.
Okay. Any other questions for staff?
If I could, I'm here on behalf of, my name is Sasha Armstrong, I'm here on behalf of the Hollies, that there
Please,
is
yes.
no.
Come forward. Come forward to the podium.
Oh, okay. There is no,
Excuse me, ma'am. I need your name,
Sasha Armstrong,
address,
1708 Rivers Edge Drive.
and do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good. Thank you.
I'm here on behalf of the Hollies, and there is no property, there's no building on either of these little lots. That house is actually mine, and there's a lot in between that is the small lot that is under discussion today. There's no building on it, and then the larger lot. And as was previously stated. They want it rezoned back to the original zone so they can have some metal in the house that they are planning to build, siding, that type of thing.
Okay, so the lot that we were told has a structure on it,
Yeah.
now does not have a structure on it.
Right, so I apologize, I guess I was looking at this one right here that has a new single-family dwelling on it. So currently, we were talking about this one and that one.
Correct.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. Any questions from the commission? Anything else, ma'am, would you like to share?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's see, anybody in the audience here tonight, anybody else in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this rezoning? Does anybody have a question about it, or perhaps it has a negative reaction to this proposal? Very good. Findings of fact, we're going to do these completely separate then? Okay, so we're going to, why don't you go ahead and share the findings of facts proposed for 1161.
Rezoning 1161 submitted by Richard and Jody Hawley for the property located in the city of Henderson at 1712 Rivers Edge Drive, being parcel ID number 46-54.1, containing 7,933 square foot. The applicants are requesting a zoning change map amendment from RF4 to medium-density residential, which is R2. Proposed motion could be, I move that the Planning Commission recommend that the City of Henderson Board of Commissioners, the city, approve rezoning application 1161, changing the zoning classification from Riverfront 4 to medium-density residential R2. And I leave the motion open for other members of the Planning Commission to add findings of fact in support of this motion because the proposed rezoning is not in agreement with the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. However, the existing RF4 zone classification is inappropriate and the proposed R2 zoning classification is appropriate because the lot was rezoned for the development of 27 townhomes and has not developed as anticipated. There are similar developments of this type in the area, and the parcel is served by adequate infrastructure for the development.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further questions or comments from the commission? Anyone else here tonight have anything to say on this matter? I'll entertain a motion in regard to rezoning 1161. We've heard the proposed findings of fact.
I'll make a motion that we adopt findings of fact as read into the record by Assistant Director Marks. And that motion will also include approval of rezoning 1161.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Heather Tays.
Yes.
Craig Boyette.
Yes.
Kevin Herron.
Yes.
Stacy Denton. Yes. Gray Hodge.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Dickie Johnson.
Yes.
XR Royster.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
yes,
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Kevin Richard.
Yes.
Very good. The motion passes. Let's take a look at the proposed findings of fact for 1162, please.
Okay. Rezoning 1162 submitted by Richard and Jody Hawley for the property in the city of Henderson at Rivers Edge Drive adjacent to 1712 in parcel ID number 46-54.3 containing 3.97 acres. The applicants are requesting a zoning change map amendment from Riverfront 4 to medium density residential to construct a single family dwelling. Our proposed motion could be that I move that the Planning Commission recommend that the City of Henderson Board of Commissioners, the city, approve rezoning application 1162, changing the zoning classification from Riverfront 4 to medium-density residential. And I'll leave the motion open for other members of the Planning Commission to add findings of fact in support of this motion because the proposed rezoning is not in agreement with the future land use map and comprehensive plan. However, the existing RF4 zoning classification is inappropriate and the proposed R2 zoning classification is appropriate because the lot was rezoned for the development of 27 townhomes and has not developed as anticipated. There are similar developments in the area and the parcel is served by adequate infrastructure for the development.
Very good, thank you. Any further questions from the commission? Anybody else here this evening like to talk about 1162? If we don't have any comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion in regard to rezoning 1162 and the proposed findings of fact.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to adopt the proposed motion and findings of fact as my official motion to approve 1162.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Kevin Richards.
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
Yes.
XR Royster.
Yes.
Dickie Johnson.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Drew Hodge.
Yes.
Stacy Denton.
Yes.
Kevin Harron.
Yes.
Frank Boyd.
Yes.
Heather Takes.
Yes.
Very good, the motion passes. Thank you all very much. The next item on the agenda is a right-of-way closure request. I think Mr. City Engineer is going to lead this one. Mr. Broom? I'll need your name, sir.
Doug Boone,
Address?
222 First Street.
Okay, and you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I
Good.
did.
Thank you very much. How can you help us here?
Am I supposed to read this evening, or
If you want, I can if you don't.
I'll let you?
Okay. This is submitted by Eric Obermeyer. PS of Morley Architects, Engineers, Surveyors on behalf of River City Church Incorporated, also known as His Church, to close an improved public roadway located on Roosevelt Avenue between Highway 2084, formerly known as Highway 41, and Lincoln Avenue, and the south half of Victory Drive, located directly north of Roosevelt Avenue and south of Poplar Avenue in the city of Henderson. The request is for the vacating of approximately 62,164 total square feet of unimproved public roadway located on Roosevelt Avenue between Highway 2084, formerly known as Highway 41, and Lincoln Avenue, and the south half of Victory Drive located directly north of Roosevelt Avenue and south of Poplar Avenue.
Correct. Basically, they were requesting enclosure of, this is all unapproved right-of-way of Roosevelt Avenue as well as Victory Drive. Pretty much, it is what it is. They own all the property around it except for a portion that's on the north side, closer to Lincoln, the road portion of the property.
Mr.
Yep.
Bloom, is the shaded area on the screen the area that's being vacated?
Correct.
Now, have all the adjoining property owners been notified?
Yep.
Okay.
So it's the shaded area, not what's outlined in yellow.
It's the hashed area.
Okay. Where is Victory Drive?
Victory Drive, it used to actually run up to Poplar Drive, but that section was closed years ago.
Okay.
So at this point, there's no improved road there?
There's no improvements at all.
It's a big open field.
That's right.
So, Mr. Boone, to clarify your statement, so the lot on that picture to the south, the large lot south of the shaded area, that is owned by the requesters?
Correct. The areas that are outlined. I think there's one section that is not. That would be the section to the north that's not highlighted. That is owned by a adjoining property owner.
So are they planning to consolidate these properties?
I would assume the church is planning to consolidate their lots, yes.
So if this closure request is approved, then ownership of this property goes to the church?
Correct. Part of, half of Roosevelt towards the end of Lincoln will be split between two, adjoining property owner and the church. But all the other stuff will become part of the church.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to remind the commission that we are recommending to the Board of Commissioners in this as well.
Okay, this goes to the city commission
Correct.
for a final determination.
Yes, sir.
So the church is on the lot on the south side of Roosevelt?
That approaches.
Yeah.
Church out there, this lot's over here.
Oh, okay. What's that building on the lot to the south of Roosevelt? Is that a building?
Yeah.
What is that?
I have no idea. It looks like a T.
They don't need access?
I think it's a revival tent.
For revival.
Oh,
That was caught through the aerial photograph.
okay.
But the new I-69, would that have any interference with that?
No, not that I know of.
Okay.
My name is John Tatum, and I represent his church. I'm the pastor there.
Your address, sir?
It's 173 Kentucky 2084 South.
And you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for helping.
Yes, this spot, what you see right there, that is a tent that we put up for Easter a few years ago, and Google Maps just happened to update their map when we had it up. So it is no longer there. We just had it up. The city let us put it up for just that service, and it's been removed since then. So,
What do you have planned for this very large piece of property?
well, some of it's in the floodway, some of it's in the floodplain. So, I mean, there is that to deal with, but, I mean, our ultimate goal is to build. But our location we have now, which was formerly Gospel Light, they dissolved and gave us the building because we were a church that had no home, and so it all worked out perfect, but we've outgrown this space now. So, our ultimate goal is to build right where this roadway is. And there's this piece of purple property right there that's splitting our yellow one right there. Henry Sawyer owns that, and the hash marks go between that. So it actually goes right up to the property that he's already built there. So, I mean, it's probably should have been brought to the attention of the commission long before this. We just happened to get the property surveyed when we had the property turned over to us, and we found it all and felt like it was a good idea to bring it up. But building is our ultimate goal, and we thought that it would be better to bring it to the attention now than to build on it and have to deal with it then, so.
Well, you're probably correct. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Any questions for either of these gentlemen from the commission? Okay, thank you, sir. Do we have anybody in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of this right-of-way closure request? Anyone else who'd like to speak in favor? Yes, sir, your name?
Jim Morley Jr., 4800 Rosebud Lane.
And do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Good.
I'm project engineer for it. I can answer any questions. I think you guys hashed through most of it. But by vacating the right-of-way, it'll free up that area to be built for a church. Right now, it kind of bisects the area. It really prevents them from expanding the way they want to expand. And so
Will there be access over on to the west?
so I will give you,
And just curious, I mean,
yeah,
Mr. Chairman, you may know Lincoln.
yes. I think that's probably the lower part of the lot too, is it not?
so I'm passing out, and this is kind of where we are with the first one, and the second one is the zoomed in. The third one is a highlight of what's being vacated overlaid on your GIS code. And the third one is the exhibit that was actually used in the vacation of that.
I can see the tent better, it's nice, red and white stripes.
Yeah, and so hopefully this maybe kind of helps.
Jim, do you have an explanation?
I apologize, I did exactly 12 and I forgot, I
I
apologize.
mean, you can
That's my
have
bad.
this one.
Well, it's not that exciting, what do you mean?
I've done looked at it.
And so, as you can see on there, that the green kind of is on that on the second and third page back, you can see where the green kind of bisects that. And that's the right-of-way that's being requested to vacate on. You can see there's obviously nothing in that right-of-way. The church has a great problem, it's growing. And this allows them to expand in an area in which their congregation's already used to going to that area. And so it's a good fit for them. And the way a vacation works, on the areas in which it's adjoined somebody, like that they don't own, then that person gets half of it. If the church owns on both sides of it, they get both halves. If they own on one side and not on the other, then they get the half next to them. That's how that works.
Okay, thank you.
And I think, and maybe you can, I think the question, if I understood the question right, so currently the only access to this church is through 2084. So I guess the question would be, if another church site was developed here, would any of the parking or access link to the Lincoln Avenue side?
Legally, I believe it could, but we're not that far into it
Okay,
yet to say yes, it would, or no, it wouldn't.
I think that's what maybe the question.
Yes, thank you.
It would have access.
It would have access that could be developed if so required, or so needed. Okay.
Now, we're just not that far into it.
Yeah, okay.
Good. Any other questions for this gentleman? From the commission? Thank you, sir. Anyone else here this evening who'd like to speak in favor of this right-of-way closure? Do we have anyone in the audience who might have a question about it or another view of things? Nothing from anybody? If there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion in regard to this proposed right-of-way closure request.
I make a motion that we recommend to the Henderson City Commission to approve this right-of-way closure request.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Kevin Richard.
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
Yes.
XR Royster.
Yes.
Dickie Johnson.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Gray Hodge.
Yes.
Stacy Denton.
Yes.
Kevin Herron.
Yes.
Frank Boyette.
Yes.
Heather Tays.
Yes.
Okay, very good. The motion passes. The proposed zoning text amendment dealing with short-term rental property that makes up a big chunk of this packet has been withdrawn. So consider that at the next meeting. But we do have the next item, the city zoning text amendment regarding parking lots and garages. Amendments to the city zoning text. I think Mr. Davis, yes. Your name, sir?
Steve Davis,
Address?
1990 Barrett Court, Suite B.
And you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good. So what do we got going here?
So basically what we're doing is we have a principal parking lot for gateway zone. We have a principal parking lot for auto commercial. But when we looked at our ordinances, we don't have anything for general business or highway commercial, which is probably a little bit more needed. So we decided to go ahead and develop something that we would allow for general business and highway commercial to have principal parking. That's basically it. So we added a definition here, and we also added it in the section for general business and for as permitted uses for general business and other commercial.
Okay, so we're talking principal use parking lot and garages, and we're defining that to be,
That's the use of the lot. The parcel would be the parking lot.
and there was no such provision before? Nobody could have a parking lot before?
No one could have a parking lot as a principal use in highway commercial general business.
Okay.
So we saw a need for that and decided we might want to act on it.
Any questions?
So then, to clarify on this huge document, basically the only update is this red on page 9?
Yeah, the rest of it is our definition section.
And at the end,
Yeah.
Okay, I hadn't got that.
And then, in the different zones,
Okay,
like
I
highway
see.
commercial general business, there's a, at the end of permitted uses statement.
Excuse me, let me get this again. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody here in the audience that'd like to speak in favor of these proposed amendments? Anybody have a question about them or some other reaction? Anybody think we need parking lots? No other questions, I'll entertain a motion, I think, in regard to this proposed text amendment.
Is the motion approve or recommend?
recommend.
Okay. This is going to the city as well.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion to recommend the text amendments to section 2.0, adding the definition of permitted use in general business and the addition section of 2102, permitted uses in highway commercial in relationship to parking lots and garages.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Heather Tace.
Yes.
Ray Foyette.
Yes.
Kevin Herron.
Yes.
Stacy Denton.
Yes.
Gray Hodge.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Dickie Johnson.
Yes.
XR Royster.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
yes,
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Kevin Richards.
Yes.
Very good. The motion passes. I think that concludes the items in the public hearing part of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So be.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of going out of public hearing, say yes.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody opposed? We are out of public hearing. The next item on the agenda is the January and February finance report. Ms. Brandon, I think is going to help us with that.
As of February, we're at 69% of budget.
And everybody has had a chance to look at the finance report. Any questions? If there are not any questions, I'll entertain a motion in regard to approving the January and February finance report.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion that we approve the January and February finance report as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the finance reports as presented, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Very good. We have approved the finance report. The next item is the bond report. I think Ms. Marks has that.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have one item on the bond report this month, and that is the new Henderson Municipal Power and Light Facility. As you all are aware, they are there and it is open. So they are requesting that we release their bond for the driveways and the sidewalks. And city engineer has let me know that that work is complete.
Questions? If there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion in regard to the bond report as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of this motion, say yes.
Yes.
yes,
Any opposed? Bond report is approved. Thank you very much. Next item is we have a McDonald's site plan. Mr. Bishop.
Yes, sir. This is submitted by McDonald's Restaurant for the property located in the city of Henderson at 2053 US 41 North, being parcel ID number 55-90. The applicants are requesting site plan approval. This may look a little familiar. I believe this is the third time that we have seen this. Jennifer, please correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm not mistaken, this is back to the original submission that shows the two driving aisles. The applicant is requesting site plan approval to make improvements to the existing site and to improve traffic patterns. The applicant proposes that the demolition of the playland portion of the structure be done and shown on this drawing. Additional parking will be added to the east side of the parcel, which is nearest 41, Highway 41, excuse me. The two drive-through lanes are proposed and will merge into one to the current existing. There is an existing screening bond in place from the previous site plan, which was submitted in the amount of $11,000, which will stay in place and be relevant to this site plan. We have received all necessary approvals from the technical advisors, and staff recommends approval. And I'll do my best to answer any questions that you have.
Okay. Any questions for staff in regard to this site plan? This is changed from having the double drive-through. That's the change from the previous version.
We were double, single, back to double, if I
Okay.
remember correctly.
Okay.
The demolition of the playground, precinct.
That's my understanding.
Any other questions? If you don't have any questions, I'll entertain a motion in regard to the McDonald's site plan as presented.
Chairman, I'll offer a motion that we approve the McDonald's site plan submitted by McDonald's Restaurant for the property located in the city of Henderson at 2053 US Highway 41 North, PID number 55D-90.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Kevin Richard.
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
yes,
XR Royster.
Yes.
Dickie Johnson.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Ray Hodge.
Yes.
Stacy Denton.
Yes.
Kevin Herron.
Yes.
Frank Boyette.
Yes.
Heather Tate.
Yes.
Very good, motion passes. Now we're looking at a Little Caesars site plan. I think Mr. Bishop has that one as well.
Yes, sir. This is submitted by Little Caesars Henderson for the property located in the city of Henderson at 706 North Green Street, being parcel ID number 3-3-2-26. The applicants are requesting site plan approval. The applicant proposes site improvements and renovation to a portion of the existing structure which is located on site. There will be two entrances. One will be on North Green Street and the second on 8th Street. That will allow two-way traffic and provide a more circular type pattern, which is beneficial to the drive-through that you'll see. There will be a channelized curb that will allow traffic coming in off North Green Street, or if they come in off 8, to get in line to pick up pizzas, which will keep them from interacting with pedestrians walking from the parking lot into the other businesses. We request that this be subject to a consolidation plat and bonding for the driveways in the amount of $6,759. We have received all necessary approvals from the technical advisors, and staff recommends approval. And I'll do my best to answer any questions you may have.
Do site improvements include landscaping?
Typically, it would be shown on site improvements, but it's not anything the plan commission would regulate. Typically, on the site plans, we're going to see things like traffic patterns here, parking requirements, lighting, things of that nature. But if it, sorry, Mr. Hodges, I'm thinking through this. If it was something that could be required as part of the detention or stormwater improvement plan, yes, it would be shown there.
But it's not required.
It's not required.
What were the subject twos again?
A consolidation plat and bonding for proposed entrances in the amount of $6,759.
Any other questions? If we don't have any questions, I'll entertain a motion in regard to the Little Caesars site plan as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion to approve the Little Caesars site plan submitted by Little Caesars Henderson for the property located at the city of Henderson, 706 North Green Street, PID 3-3-2-26, subject to a consolidation plat and bonding for entrances and driveways in the amount of $6,759.
We have a motion, and a second. Any further discussion? If not, please, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Heather Tays.
Yes.
Frank Boyette.
Yes.
Kevin Herron.
Yes.
Stacy Denton.
Yes.
Gray Hodge.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Dickie Johnson.
Yes.
XR Royster.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
yes,
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Kevin Richard.
Yes.
Very good. Motion passes. The next item is also, Mr. Bishop, a Amiette Road Development Plan?
Yes, sir. This is submitted by Glenstone for the property located in Henderson County at 1009 Amiette Road, being parcel ID number 32A-2-3. The applicant is requesting site plan approval. The applicant has proposed the construction of a 4,000 square foot spec building. The applicant showed 5 regular parking spots and 1 handicap spot, and 1 loading zone that is 12 by 80 feet. The parking is measured on a warehouse use, and we have spoke to the applicant, and Mr. Tasa has let the applicant know if for some reason that if the business that occupies this building requires more parking, the site plan would come back to the plan commission to reflect that. We have received all necessary approval from the technical advisors. Staff recommends approval subject to bonding in the amount of $6,000 for the planning of, Heather, how do you say that?
Thuja Green Giants.
Thank you. Trees to be used as screening from the residential property to the north. And then bonding in the amount of $10,000 for the proposed entrance onto Amiot Drive. I will do my best to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for staff on this?
They need more parking, right?
At this point, it would have to go to the east, which is why we try to go as dense as we could on the parking from the warehouse use. Randy can answer, I'm sorry, Mr. Tassa from the county codes can answer this better than I can. But from the zone and the proposed uses that could go into that building, warehouse was the most dense from a parking standpoint. So we could squeeze the most amount of parking spots on there and to avoid that situation, Commissioner.
Any other questions? If we don't have any questions, I'll entertain a motion in regard to the Amiot Road development as presented. New lot number 2B. And we do have the subject twos available for everybody.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion that we approve the Amiot Road Development New Lot 2B submitted by Glenstone for the property located in Henderson County at 1009 Amiot Road, PID number 32A-2-2, subject to bonding of $6,000 for trees and $10,000 for the entrance on Amiot Road, Amiot Drive.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Kevin Richard.
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
Yes.
XR Royster.
Yes.
Dickie Johnson.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Gray Hodge.
Yes.
Stacy Denton.
Yes.
Kevin Herron.
Yes.
Frank Boyette.
Yes.
Heather Tays.
Yes.
Very good. Motion passes. The next item has to do with the Ride Out Service Center site plan. Ms. Marks.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ride Out Service Center Inc. site plan submitted by Walter Gary and Brenda Crawford for the property located in the city of Henderson at 1655 South Green Street, being parcel ID number 46A-27. The applicants are requesting site plan approval. Here you can see the location there on the corner of McLean and Green Street. Let me pull this up so it's a little bit easier to view. This is currently a vacant lot. The applicant proposes to construct a 7,560 square foot building to use for storage for his existing business, which is located in the vicinity. Let me see this, so it's a little bit easier to see. There's a lot on this plan, but I can zoom around if you need me to. And then to also, they'll have the storage for the existing business, and then up here is a small office space. The applicant will be closing the existing entrance that is on Green Street. So as you can see here, there's no longer an access point off of Green Street. The applicant has received the necessary variance requests. They did have to request setback variances over here to be able to build in that. And Mr. Davis can speak to those if you guys have further questions on that. The applicant is also requesting a sidewalk waiver for this area because there are no sidewalks in the immediate area. So here on McLean as well as here on.
What, when you say immediate area, how far away are we from the nearest sidewalk?
Pull it up on GIS here, Mr. Moya, and see what we can find. I know that it doesn't connect to one, so that is what the letter requesting that shows. So if we are talking about this lot here, well, all the way up through here, I don't see any sidewalks. And then also on McLean, I don't see any all the way back through here.
I believe the nearest one would be on South Main Street.
So yeah, so let's see, how far do we get to? Yeah, so there's one on South Main that's on the other side of the street. Well, actually, it crosses over here, so. There's that one. And I don't see any right here in the vicinity on Green Street.
I just have reservations about waiving sidewalks.
That is the prerogative of the plan commission.
I understand. And I'm not saying he's got to build them, because like you say, there's not any within a couple of 3 blocks, it looks like.
Commissioner Boyette, in the past, what the Plan Commission has done is require the applicant provide sidewalk easements for the construction if they were ever to come there by other means, if the city were to do it, if the state were to do it. That is how we have handled that in the past.
That sounds like a reasonable compromise.
That could be a condition if the Plan Commission chooses to do so.
I'll make a motion that we approve Rideout Service Center, Inc. site plan, provided they provide a sidewalk easement.
And Mr. Boyette, there is a little bit more. We do have a bond that we would require for the driveways in the amount of $35,950. And the applicant, of course, is here if you have further questions for them.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I jumped the gun.
Well, before we see,
Yeah, let's see what-
before we ask for a second, sir, would you like to help us out?
Yes, please. Jim Worley Jr., project engineer, and in true form, I printed exactly 12 of them, so I might need you to share yours again if that'd be all right. On the first page, kind of again, is where and where are we down on South Green Street. The second page is a zoomed-in picture of that site as the current site. And then the third page is a site plan being shown. And I want to draw attention to the third page, so I don't get sworn in here in just a second. So make sure I say everything is true.
Okay, I think you're already under
Am I
oath.
still under oath from the last time?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, that's it.
Jim Worley Jr., project engineer. So on the third page, you'll see a site plan looks like this one. Relative to the sidewalks, there's not a sidewalk on Green Street for give or take 1,000 feet either way, for a long, long way. There is a sidewalk to the northwest, the next block back. You're correct about that. In this situation, McLean has an 80-foot right-of-way, which is an exceptionally wide right-of-way for a city street. McLean itself maybe is a 20-foot wide street and an 80-foot wide right-of-way. With in a desire to utilize this lot to service the needs of the client, they had sought a variance on the setback line because that right-of-way was so wide. Even with that variance granted, that building's going to seem like it's sitting really far from the road, but there's about 30 feet of grass between the edge of the pavement and the property line. And so in this situation, there isn't, my opinion would be there's not a need for a sidewalk easement because there's so much room in that right-of-way that McLean Street would never be widened so wide that you would use all that right-of-way because it's an exceptionally, and Green Street both are exceptionally wide right-of-ways.
And correct me, it may show itself on the picture. If I'm correct, there is a sidewalk currently on Green Street, right? There's not one there?
So,
On both sides of it.
I double-checked and,
Okay.
yeah.
It's just the way the shading is. Okay, it almost looks like a
Those are
sidewalk
my good
there,
friends
so-
at Google Earth. That's what they printed out of for me.
And also, if you did put a sidewalk, it'd be on the city anyway.
Yeah.
You can't get on the city, so that's the waiver of sidewalk.
But
It don't go nowhere.
if a sidewalk was ever placed at some point in the future, in this situation, both McLean and Green Street have excessively wide right-of-ways that you can easily put it in the right-of-way, which ideally is where a sidewalk is.
Mr. Long, can I ask a question?
Sure.
From a traffic standpoint, removing the entrance on the 41A/Green Street, does that make that a little safer in that area because there's less conflict points through there?
Yeah, that was the intent, was to, given your preference, most municipalities would prefer to have the entrance on the secondary street versus the main street, from just eliminating points of conflict on the through road. And so that's why that entrance that used to be on Green Street was pulled around to the point.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for this gentleman?
I'd like to withdraw my motion.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, sir. Okay,
I could make a motion to approve Rideout Service Center Inc. site plan at 1655 South Green Street, PID number 46A-27.
Second.
we do have, subject to bond requirement,
Subject to bond requirements.
that amount is $35,950, correct?
Yes. For the entrances there on.
Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Well, just to clarify, Mr. Boyd, so does your motion approve granting the sidewalk waiver or not granting the?
No, I withdrew my motion for the sidewalk
For
waiver.
the easement, they have requested a sidewalk waiver, so does your motion also approve their request for a sidewalk waiver?
I thought they'd already been granted the sidewalk.
I thought the,
Well, it would be a subject to, right?
They were just granted an easement or a variance.
If I heard correctly, Mr. Boyer withdrew his motion of disallowing the sidewalk waiver, correct?
yes.
So at this point, I believe Commissioner Richard is right. The planning commission would need to act on the waiver itself. So like, for example, you could say that part of your motion is that you think the planning commission should grant the waiver. Am I saying that, Kevin, am I saying that?
That's what I want to make sure, since they have requested the waiver, the motion didn't say if we were for or against said waiver.
In the past, we've taken the sidewalk waiver individually.
I think we can.
If I'm correct.
I believe TJ should probably answer this. I think we can do it either way.
Oh, okay.
But whatever TJ thinks.
You can do it either way. We typically do them separately, and it's a good idea, but in this case, it's fine too.
Well,
But
perhaps I ought to just withdraw everything and let somebody else carry the show.
You got a second.
You're doing a good job. Make a motion to grant the sidewalk waiver.
What's that?
You're doing a fine job.
Okay.
Make
thanks,
a
sir.
motion to grant the sidewalk waiver if that's your position.
That is my position.
Then say it.
I make a motion that we grant the sidewalk waiver.
Okay, so now we've got two motions at the,
No, he
going on at the same
withdrew,
time?
he withdrew.
Okay, so,
Both of them.
okay, we have,
I second his motion to approve the sidewalk waiver.
any further discussion? Okay, please call the roll on the sidewalk waiver.
Heather Taves.
Yes.
Frank Boyette.
Yes.
Kevin Herron.
Yes.
Stacy Denton.
Yes.
Gray Hodge.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Dickie Johnson.
Yes.
XR Royster.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Kevin Richard.
Very good. Motion passes. Do we have another motion in regard to this project?
Frank, now make your motion to approve the site plan with bonding.
Yes, let's see, what was the bonding again? I'll make a motion to approve Rideout Service Center Inc. site plan and with a bond of $35,950.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Kevin Richard.
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
Yes.
XR Royster.
Yes.
Dickie Johnson.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Gray Hodge.
Yes.
Stacy Denton.
Yes.
Kevin Herron.
Yes.
Frank Boyette.
Yes.
Heather Taves.
Yes.
Good. Motion passes.
Frank, I wasn't trying to make your motions hard.
No, no, no,
Sidewalks is always one of those issues that come up a lot, so I just wanted to make sure everybody was crystal clear.
I'm glad you caught that.
Okay, the only other item that we have here is the Planning Commission committees for 2024. That's at the very last page in this packet. I'm going to leave these committees as they are, except for the Bond and Finance Committee, where we have Doug Bell still represented there, so we will make that adjustment. I appreciate everybody's efforts in regard to these extra committees. If anybody has an interest in adding their talents and abilities to one of these committees, that would be great. Just let me know. We'll go from there. Any questions concerning the committees? Do we have any other business before us this evening? Staff?
No, sir.
Commission have anything to bring forward? Anybody? If we lost our public? If we don't have anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of adjournment, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. We stand adjourned.